TCI is brought to you by TaylorMade Stallion Unbridled Song, producing top songs year after year, including 13 Grade 1 winners. Visit unbridledsong.com.
Welcome back to TCI, your inside track to the Triple Crown. I'm John Siegel alongside Joel Cunningham. Joel, a huge weekend of racing. We have the Florida Derby and also the Louisiana Derby.
And I'm going down for the Louisiana Derby.
Right.
I'm so excited. It's one of my favorite races of the year, John, being a Louisianian. But like you said, on the Triple Crown Trail, you have $2 million up for grabs. So there's no question we're going to have 3, 4, maybe 5 horses exit these races, make up part of that Kentucky Derby field on May 5th. So it's a very exciting time of year. We're into the major final prep races. And look at the Florida Derby, John. Look how good this race is. I mean, you're going to see your Derby favorite come out of this race. It's either going to be Union Rag still, or if he gets beaten by El Padrino or Take Charge Indy, they're probably going to be the Derby favorite depending on how the race unfolds. So a very big weekend.
All right, well, let's bring on Ed Derosa from Brisnet.com to help us handicap these races. Hey, Ed, last week I gave you a hard time about Gemologist. I got to give you some props this weekend. Looks like you rebounded nicely.
Yeah, I was fortunate to get one home a winner, and I thought Isn't He Clever ran really well, and looking forward to seeing what Daddy Knows Best does next.
All right, Ed, we got $2 million races on tap this weekend. One of those races, however, seems to have a lot more quality.
Yeah, no question. The Florida Derby has 3 starters who have among the top 3 Brist speed ratings as 3-year-olds, and the Louisiana Derby has 0. But you know what? They're both worth $1 million, so 3 horses are going to be in the Derby gate from each race, so it's good watching.
Well, Ed, let's talk about those fast 3 horses. I mean, you're obviously talking about Union Rags, El Padrino, and Take Charge Indy. Now, Take Charge Indy, for me, he looks like the inside speed could really dictate things there at Gulfstream Park. How do you see the race unfolding? Who do you like?
I'm actually going to play the race to see Union Rags blowing the doors off them. I think any less than an open length win. Surprise might be too strong a word, but that's honestly what I'm expecting. However, I do think from a wagering standpoint, the value comes in beating El Padrino for the place spot. So I'm going to hope that Take Charge Indy not only has control of the race early, but has enough late to hold off his charge as well.
Yeah, good pick there, Ed. Let's switch to Louisiana now for the Louisiana Derby on Sunday. You know, this is almost the contrary of what we just talked about. It's a wide open field, relatively lightly raced group in here, and you get a full field in here. Mark Valeski is your favorite. Cigar Street, also a top local contenders. What'd you make of this race?
Yeah, Mark Valeski is the favorite, is certainly the type of horse you want to play against. And then even a horse like Cigar Street, getting this kind of buzz off only a maiden win. I'm going to look at some of the seasoned horses. Shared Properties burned me twice already, but I think his price is going to float up to where I'll give him a shot off his 2-year-old form. And then the other horse I'm definitely going to look at is Rousing Sermon, who I thought had a big shot in both the Lewis and the San Felipe, and just wasn't good enough for the Southern California horses. But as we've seen Baffert do time and again, there's nothing wrong with shifting east and getting the money, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Rousing Sermon do just that on Sunday.
All right, Ed, so sounds like you're leaning towards Shared Property or Rousing Sermon.
Yeah, I'd love to be live to both of them in the pick 4, but for an on-top selection, I'm going with Rousing Sermon. I think Southern California has the best group so far, so I'll go with that region in here.
All right, Ed, thanks for coming on. Good luck with your picks this weekend. Hey, we'll see you next weekend. We got a lot to talk about: the Wood Memorial, the Santa Anita Derby, and the Illinois Derby.
It's a great time of year. Can't wait, guys.
So Joel looks like he's going to go with Rousing Sermon in the Louisiana Derby. And no surprise, Union Rags in the Florida Derby. Let's talk about the Louisiana Derby just for a minute. What does your favorite, Mark Valeski, got to do in this race to have success?
Well, Ed talked about how wide open it is. It certainly is that. And I think Mark Valeski is a shaky favorite. The fact that he's just an allowance winner. So I agree with Ed there with that fact, John. I mean, he's going to have to outrun 12 horses, not going to be 13 because Armed Force is scratching out of the race. But still a full field on here, and he draws sort of in the middle of them. The thing I like about Mark Valeski is not only is he training reportedly very forwardly at fairgrounds, and he did run so well against a fast horse like El Padrino last time out, he has that home field advantage, John. I think a mile and 8 is not going to be a problem when you look at Proud Citizen and that pedigree. And I like his tactical speed. You know, let's look at the pace of the race. I mean, you have the 2 Sharp Humor colts, Hero of Honor, and then the 5 furlong track record holder, Comiskey's Humor. You don't think he's going to be on the lead? I mean, there's no question. Look at the fractions that he's carved out around one turn. I think it's probably going to be at least an honest pace at best. probably an above average pace. And the thing Mark Valeski can do with that tactical speed is he can draft right in behind that speed, and when it starts to back up, he can get first run on horses like Rousing Sermon.
All right, well, you mentioned Rousing Sermon. I know on Monday's show you liked him. Now Ed picks him. What's he got to do to win this race?
You know, he needs to show a little bit more quality. I mean, Jerry Hollendorfer putting him on a plane obviously has a lot of confidence. I mean, I've read a lot of great quotes from Hollendorfer about this colt. He really likes this horse, but if you look at his last 2 races on real dirt, they've been very disappointing. However, that was at Santa Anita. For people who have paid attention to Santa Anita all winter long, it has not favored deep closers like this.
Right.
It's played more to speed. So now he gets one of the longest stretches in North America and probably a legitimate pace in front of him to run at. I also like the fact that jockey Mike Smith, a great closing rider, is coming to time that closing run in here. So I really think Rousing Sermon has a big shot this weekend. And Ed mentioned share property for Tom Amoss. He's going to get blinkers on in here. I wonder how far he'll go, but he does have that back class as well. It's a wide open group.
All right, Joe, let's move now to the Florida Derby. It's for $1 million, and we see Union Rags, our early Derby favorite in here. Right. There's another horse in here, Take Charge Indy. You guys have talked a lot about him. I haven't been super high on him. What's he got to do to have success in here?
I would have liked him better in the Tampa Bay Derby. I really thought he was your horse to beat in that race, John. They scratch out and they train straight up to this Florida Derby,
right,
and it's a very tough race. I mean, it goes without saying, but I like the confidence the connections are showing, and I like the fact he's inside speed. I mean, drawing the 3-hole in here with Calvin, you look at this race, there's 9 horses, but not a lot of definitive front runners in here. I think Take Charge Indy can make the lead in here, and speed is always dangerous at Gulfstream. So if he gets out on a lone lead down that backstretch, I mean, we remember last year with Shackelford.
Right.
You know, these 3-year-olds are developing this time of year, and the connections have showed a lot of confidence in this colt to skip the Tampa Bay Derby and run here. If he gets alone on the lead, and, you know, Julian Leperoux and Javier Castellano are kind of watching each other and not watching this horse, he can be very tough to run down, like Shackelford a year ago.
Well, let's talk about that. El Patrino and Union Rags watching each other. We know El Patrino, he draws outside of Union Rags. That's very interesting to me because I could see El Patrino positioned outside of Union Rags coming down the stretch. Now, every race so far, Union Rags has drifted out in the stretch. I don't know. I think it sets up for El Patrino.
I think it might, John, just the fact that he's going to have outside position. I still think Union Rags is a better horse, but the bottom line is both of these horses have shown to be very fast. El Padrino has more races under his belt this year, so I do think he can give Union Rags a little bit more of a fight than maybe what Ed thought. Ed's expecting an open length victory. Union Rags will really stamp himself as a top 3-year-old in here. But what I liked about El Padrino's Risen Star, John, is the fact that he showed he doesn't need a fast pace to finish.
Right.
He can lay a little closer and still come home fast, even when the speed doesn't back up to him. So I really like that dimension he showed, and I really think Union Rags, here's a big horse with a big stride, is going to be inside of El Padrino. You can believe that Javier Castellano is just going to be watching Julian the whole time. Both these horses have enough tactical speed to get into the race when they need to on that far turn, and then it's just matching strides in the stretch. Who's the better racehorse? Who's faster and who's more fit for this? And when El Padrino lays on Union Rags, how will Union Rags respond to that?
Right.
Be very interesting to see because El Padrino has one heck of a turn of foot.
All right, thank you, Joel. Very exciting, man. $2 million up for grabs. This is big time racing. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you come back on Monday. We'll see if Union Rags can hold on to that early Kentucky Derby favoritism.